welcome to the India Development Debate. Great to have you on the show with us this Friday evening. I'm Tamanna Inamdar, and the big buzz through the day was renewed hope of a COVID vaccine, maybe a made in India one. Well, it started on social media this morning where a letter was doing the rounds of ICMR and Bharat Biotech asking 12 sites for clinical trials. The letter initially suggested that a vaccine would be out by August 15th this year. Of course, that's just not possible. There were clarifications later that results of the first phase of trials are aiming to be out by August 15th for Bharat Biotech. Bharat Biotech is doing this with ICMR, that's the premium medical organization which is helming us through the whole coronavirus pandemic. Now, the question is that can trials be fast-tracked to this extent? Remember, right now, it's not just Bharat Biotech. There are a clutch of companies, including several Indian companies, who are in what you can say is a race to the vaccine. In fact, all across the world, there are 110 different companies, players, organizations, in some cases countries, that are frantically trying to develop a vaccine for the COVID-19. This is because a vaccine will be a game changer. It will change the way we deal with the disease. It may help people come out of various stages of lockdown and come as close to normalcy as possible. So whoever gets there first, of course, will have a head start by a long way off. But it's easier said than done. It's a long process. Usually it takes about 5 years. Right now, people are trying to do that just in 1 year. There are several phases through which a vaccine goes. There are preclinical trials. There are experiments and trials done on small animals. Then you move to human trials, which also happen in 4 different phases, after which you get regulatory approvals. Then you have to go into manufacturing and figure out how to deliver that medication on a wide scale. Now, can you really compress all of that in 1/5 of the time? That is the question that we're going to look at very closely on the India Development Debate today. That's not all we have on the show. We have a fantastic interview coming up with Uday Shankar, media mogul, who's going to talk about the future of movies. Disney Hotstar has come up with this plan of bringing multiplex to your home. We also will be hearing from market guru Manish Chokhani. So great show lined up for you. But first, let's get to the question of the vaccine. First up, we have this interview with Zydus Cadila chairman Pankaj Patel. Listen in.
Zydus Cadila has recently received DGCI approvals for human trials of its vaccine. And I have with me today Pankaj Patel, the chairman of Zydus Cadila. Mr. Patel, welcome to ET Now and thank you so much for speaking with us. Let's get a word from you first on the DGCI approvals for human trials and how hopeful are you for the next stage for the coronavirus vaccine?
So we undertook this development somewhere in the month of March, and we have undertaken various animal studies in 4 different animals. Actually, we did the study mice, rat, guinea pig and rabbit, and we found very good immunogenic response, and also the in vitro virus neutralization assay was done, and we found that the serum was able to neutralize all the viruses. Based on that, we did a detailed toxicity study, 28-day toxicity in 2 different animal species, and we have found that the vaccine was safe and also was giving a very good immunogenic response. So now that after that we have applied for a clinical study, we got approval for phase 1/2 combined clinical study, and the study will start very soon. We expect that based on the animal data that we are very encouraged to start this clinical study. Based on the clinical study data, we will decide and move forward. We expect that the trial should be completed in about 3 months' time from now.
Okay, so now the clinical studies, these will be human trials, right? And these are for 1,000 people initially. Can you explain to us, Mr. Patel, how this would work, and is this enough of a sample size? Do we have enough time to know correctly and accurately whether the vaccine works?
So what will happen is, as a result, when we do this clinical study, when these 1,000 people will be administered one or more dose of vaccine, and the immune response will be measured, and also the sera will be subjected to virus neutralization assay to find out whether the immune response also is acting on the coronavirus. So that will tell us that yes, the vaccine is working and is able to neutralize the virus. The next step, of course, we will have to see how long this antibody remains in the body, and that would decide about long-term efficacy of that. But I think the first phase 2 will clearly tell us about the safety of the vaccine and also efficacy of the vaccine. For duration, one would need a longer clinical study.
So ICMR partnering with biotech and launching its own initial phases of clinical trials, the efficacy of which, those results of which are to be released by August 15th. Meanwhile, there are a number of candidates in India and across the world. I just want an overview from you on this sort of race to the vaccine which has begun, and what are the most important aspects of ensuring that at the end of it we have a vaccine which works and which is available at a reasonable price to a large population. How confident are you that India will be ahead in that race, which is a global one?
So I don't think it's a race. Everybody is putting their best effort to make vaccine available, because everybody in the world is suffering today and they need something really very badly. So I think it's not a race, but there is definitely a need to really rush for making a vaccine available. So India has a large capacity and also capability of producing vaccine for a very long time. And we have been fulfilling the world requirement of vaccine for a long time. Second is, of course, India always had shown a cost advantage compared to any other player, and that's why we are the major supplier of vaccine in the world. So I'm clearly seeing that whoever gets the vaccine first, that's not important, but India will definitely provide vaccine to the world as we move forward.
What is the kind of timeline and ballpark cost that you see for the vaccine that you are working on, Mr. Patel?
So, as I mentioned to you earlier, we will complete our phase 1 and 2 study, which will tell us efficacy and safety of the vaccine and also the dosage what is required. Based on that, we will make our submission to the DCGI, and for the regulator is for him to evaluate and decide. There are two possibilities at that stage. One is that the regulator may say that for emergency use, the vaccine may be provided for high-risk population, or it is possible that the regulator may say that please also do a phase 3 study and then come back to us. Typically, globally, every other country is following this path of getting into phase 3 subsequently and then allowing vaccine to come. So today, as a result, none of the vaccine is on the market. But it will all depend on the situation which will prevail at that time, and the need of decide between the risk and benefit in the process.
One question that people hear time and again on the push for a vaccine, and you're absolutely correct, Mr. Patel, it's something that the world desperately needs right now, is that the whole process, which usually takes about 5 years plus, is being fast forwarded around the world, and for obvious reasons. How can we be sure that in a sped up process to find a vaccine, including phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, human trials, etc., that we come up with a product which will not have harmful side effects and will definitely be a cure?
So I think for any drug or a vaccine, efficacy and safety are the most important parameter. And I think that is what ultimately is required. But currently in the difficult time, we need to find ways to basically weigh the safety, risk and benefit together and see what is better. So that based on that, the regulator in their wisdom will decide what is to be done. Typically, that's why vaccine development takes such a long time, because typically it is expected that a long-term clinical trial is completed before the vaccine is freely available to people. Now, given the challenge we have today of the epidemic, we will have to find a practical midway where we can do it faster. And I think that is what the regulator will do.
Will that not be dangerous in some cases? Do you think that would be then as safe for people to take those vaccines which have not gone through the rigor which it usually does?
So I think based on the phase 2 data, a lot of data will be there for the regulator to evaluate. And if there are no signals toward that, then the risk can be taken. But there is always going to be a risk. If otherwise, there is a full-fledged phase 3 study will be necessary. No, I was saying that phase 3 study might be required to see long-term efficacy of the vaccine. Because unless we try this vaccine for a long time, we don't know how long the immunity will remain.
Yes. Mr. Patel, let me come to the question of the cure as well. We're talking about vaccine as a preventive, but before that we can expect a cure. And Zydus Cadila and Gilead have inked a licensing agreement for Remdesivir. Can you tell us a bit more about this? When will this drug be available in India, and where are we heading with a cure right now?
So we already are, our Remdesivir product is under stability study at this moment, and we expect to make the product available in the market in the month of August.
Okay, so in the first weeks of August?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Patel, what is your sense on the kind of pricing of the vaccine? Just one last question, and I'm coming back to the vaccine because that is everyone's big hope. Your sense on the pricing of the vaccine and whether it is possible to make it available to a large population like ours at reasonable, affordable prices in the time period that is required?
So I think goal of every vaccine manufacturer, at least I can say for definitely Indian manufacturer, is to make this vaccine produced at the lowest possible price. And we're not looking at profits here, but we're looking at making it product available. So all of us are going to work towards that to make sure that we can produce the vaccine at the lowest possible price and offer to the people of India.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Mr. Patel, for speaking with us today here at ET Now.
Thank you.